tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming to you with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Generations Thrilling 30 Deluxe Class Autobot Skids. Now, Skids is honestly not a character I know a heck of a lot about. The only Skids I'm really all that familiar with is the one from the Michael Bay movie. So I know that's probably terrible to say, and I apologize if that upsets anybody, but it's just a very minor character that I never really paid much attention to. You do see that it comes with the Hasbro exclusive cover, which is basically just a comic book. And I am noticing that there is a difference in the color. This is a much lighter blue than the actual cover. So while everybody was super excited about this figure at BotCon when it was revealed, I was like, meh. And I'm still kind of meh about it. Looking at him, he reminds me a lot of the Fall of Cybertron Optimus Prime with the chest and really big shoulder bits right here with the real close arms. So I don't know. Well, we'll give it a fair shot, but yeah, see, come around here to the side, he's figure number 9 in the series. Down here on the bottom, you see other figures that are available, including Waspinator and Dreadwing. Then around here on the back, you have his tech specs as well as his cruiser mode, and he's got hidden weapons and the blasters combined. And then up here it says, with no memory of his life before a few cycles ago, Autobot Skids finds himself with a rare opportunity. Not knowing who he is allows him to be anything he wants to be. And the firepower of his mysterious new blaster gives him the strength to follow through on any adventure he pursues. So he's got like amnesia or something. The vehicle mode, it's kind of an interesting looking vehicle mode. It really looks like a very compact kind of car. But we'll see. I mean, like I said, this one I really wasn't all that impressed with when I first saw it revealed. And of the current wave, this is probably the figure that I was least looking forward to, despite the fact that it is an all-new figure and not just a repaint. Those repaints that we've gotten, that being Goldfire and Dreadwing, appealed to me a whole lot more than this guy. So really kind of strange, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird, but that's about it for the packaging. So without further ado, let's get him open and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Skids open up and out of its packaging. And like I showed you before, he does come with his one-shot comic book, which honestly, these comic books really are kind of disappointing me. They aren't really focusing on the character that we're actually getting. I mean, Skids, yeah, is in here, but it really isn't focusing on him. And that really is kind of a disappointment to me. If you're going to have a comic book that ties into the toy that you're going to get, at least have the comic book focus on him. I mean, the only one that really seemed to do that was Waspinators, and I mean, it's whatever. But here is his vehicle mode. Now, from what I've seen, this really isn't what his vehicle mode looks like in the comic books. Again, I don't follow the comics. I just quickly did a search for it, so it doesn't really look like that. I mean, it definitely doesn't have these guns on here. His robot mode does have that more comic book look to it, but generally speaking, though, I really kind of like the way that this vehicle mode looks. It is a very small, compact car. You can see that it's only got one door and a very small hatchback kind of look here. You could see that the gun's pegged in here. Now, one thing that is really cool about that comic is you could kind of see that he has a more normal mode as well as a much more armored up mode, and we'll take a look at that here in a little bit. But I really do dig this, and I like a lot of the paint applications on here. I love the red rims. I like that the front here has a nice amount of paint. I mean, even they got the turn signal yellow lights in here. You got some red there. You got the Autobot logo. I like the striping along the side. They thought to actually paint his tail lights, so they actually did a pretty good job with the paint on here. The weapons don't really have any paint. They're molded in this color, but you can see that they do separate. Now they peg in here. They have to peg in this way. You can see that the way that the hole is opened up here with the little notch down here, you have to put the guns like this. And when you do it, it's kind of weird because this looks like the clip or the energy bit, because it comes down and it actually connects to the rest of the rifle. But for me, I mean, a normal gun, I guess, would kind of look like this with the clip on the bottom, but it's an alien weapon, so I guess it doesn't bug me. But I like that they actually thought to do that, and you can actually split it and have two different guns. That's really cool. So, and the vehicle mode, like I said, is really very cool. One thing that's really ugly, though, is on a lot of Transformers, they stamp numbers, like serial numbers or something on here. They stamped it on the side here. Zooming in so that you can see that there's
there's his number stamped on there, and it's really sloppy and ugly, and there's not really much I can do about it. But you can see a lot of nice molded detail in here. I like how his grill's actually molded, and I love how his headlights have that nice molded detail in there. I mean, it is a very nicely molded vehicle mode. I mean, the figure just in general is very nicely molded, and like I said, they didn't really skimp on the paint applications, I don't think. I guess my only complaint, I guess, would be that based on what I've seen in the very limited research that I've done, he doesn't really have this alt mode. So I guess that's a nitpick, but I think that the alt mode still looks actually pretty good. Now, the transformation is actually pretty fun and fairly simple to do. And one thing that I like about the robot mode is that you have the option really of kind of making him look more like a G1 version of himself or the IDW version. So first what you want to do is just come around here, lift these bits just like so. Real simple. Then detach this front windshield, just kind of angle this all up. Then you're going to take these legs, rotate these down, fold this bit out, lock that into place. Do that as well there. Then come around here to these arms. You're going to detach them from the peg on the inside here, and then in doing so also you're going to angle them back out just like so. It sort of locks into place when you do it, and you'll feel it as it tabs in. So right there. Then just take this waist, rotate this around just like so. Then come around here to the feet, rotate these down around. You can split these. You can rotate these down and around as well. Now, I do want to thank the folks that weekly come to my Ustream, because there was a big problem that I had with this, and it was the legs. You cannot get this thing to stand up, and I watched my friend Balt Matrix review on this, and I'm sorry, Spada. I watched you, and there was only one time when you had it actually standing, and the rest of the time you're holding it like this. This thing doesn't stand at all. What you actually have to do is take this, and you can see this section right here. Just take this, bend it forward, just like so. Do that on this side as well. It's right below the actual knee joint, but in doing so, it kind of chicken legs his legs just a little bit, but once you get that, you can get him to stand absolutely no problem. Very cool, and again, I want to thank the folks that come to my Ustream for pointing that out to me, because that's actually not in the instructions, and you need to do it. Otherwise, it's a gigantic mess. Then coming around to the top, come around to these shoulder bits right here, and just going to wiggle these out and give them a nice little tug till they separate just a little bit. Then take this whole top section, you're going to rotate this down. This bit right here rotates around, lock that down, and you've got his head. You can bring that all the way down, angle this out, and then take this windscreen, fold that back, lift this up just like so, bring that down and around, kind of lift up his head. And here you have Skids in his robot mode. Now, well, that's actually not all that flat there. Get this. Let's see here. Now there is, like I said, there is a more armored up mode, and I'll show that here in just a second. But this is basically for the most part, the way that he looks in the IDW comic, and it's fairly accurate to that. Not a lot is really all that different. I mean, you got this junk back here, but it kind of resembles that comic book look. If you want to, you can actually take these though, and you can fold these up and out like so, and that honestly, in my opinion, gives them a little bit more of a G1 look. The comic book, from what I've seen, these bits don't hang out as far as that. So I mean, they just kind of sit down there like so. So for me, I really like this look. I think that looks cool. Now, your opinion for how you want to display your figure is all up to you, so whatever you want to do. Now, again, there's several times in the comic book that I was looking that he just looked like this, and he was perfectly fine. Other times where, if you take this, fold this back, you got these guns. Now, for some reason, these are actually on springs, and you just, honestly, pull them forward and they spring forward. There's the gimmick right here. It's on a spring, so when you bring it down, it locks it. I have no idea why they had that there, because I can't find any other button to make them deploy or anything like that. So bringing this back up, locking that kind of up along his back section. Here you have that a little bit more of an armored look. In addition to that, you can take these guns that you see here along the bottom of his forearms, and you can rotate these out, and you can have that be there. To me, those are kind of ugly, though. You can do that on both sides. Yeah, I don't really like the way that that looks. Even leaving them down, I don't like the way that that looks. It's kind of strange looking. I wish there was a way that those weren't there. But what other thing that is really cool, and I see the way that the reason why they did this, in the comic book, you have his tire up here on his shoulders, and the tire actually opens up and there's like missile pods. What you can actually do is rotate this section down and kind of replicate that look, I guess. It doesn't necessarily look like it's coming out of the tire, to be totally honest. I love that tire look in the comic, but that's where you get those missile pods. You can kind of replicate that, but because it's elevated away from the tire, it kind of breaks that illusion, I guess. But I still like that, so that's really a really cool look. Now, my, I guess, gripe with this figure is the way that it looks. It has a very Fall of Cybertron Optimus Prime feel for me. And by that I mean that he's got this big chest, which is the front of his vehicle mode, much like Optimus Prime's, and then he's got these very close arms to the body. And I mean, they do pull out a little bit better, and it looks better than Optimus Prime, but it still has that same feel, and it kind of bugs me. The other problem that I know that I have, as well as Bolt Matrix, is that these thigh bits are actually assembled wrong, at least on R2 figure. Other people were mentioning it to me, and I didn't understand what they were talking about until I actually looked, and there is a very small R on this side, at this upper part here, that actually connects to the ball joint at his hip, and then you can see that at the thigh swivel, you just remove it. So this bit right here, this section, this says R on it. This one says L. When you get it out of the package, look, because this L was on this side. The thigh bits were reversed, and you actually couldn't move the leg forward. Now, swapping them, you can't really move them back all that far, so that kind of is weird, but it does help with things, and I honestly don't know why that they couldn't pay attention to something like that. Now, the other problem that I have with my figure was that the actual ball part that's attached to the crotch section that connects to the hip broke on mine. Completely snapped off. When I was pulling this off, it completely broke off. It was a very clean break. I mean, and it wasn't like I was, wrenching at it or something. I mean, I was just pulling it off, and that entire thing snapped off. Luckily, I was able to get it out of the actual socket, and because it was such a clean break, I was able to line it up and super glue it on there. So you can see that I do have the legs on there, and they are super glued, but they're holding pretty well. I purposely super glued it and left it for a very long time so that it would be very secure. That's a quality control problem that I personally think. So really, guys, when you're going to be swapping this, first of all, you want to look at the thighs, make sure that they're on the right side. If they're not, you will have to reverse them in order so that you can get the full, motion with the actual legs. But when you're doing it, be very careful. I don't want people breaking their toys or anything like that. So that really did actually bug me. So it put me off to this figure for a while, and I actually originally intended for this video to go up before my Waspinator one, but I left this guy alone because I wanted to play with him some more, to really not let the quality of the figure really take away from what is, generally speaking, a good figure once you do everything properly, like getting the legs properly transformed down here where you can actually get him to stand. The body and the torso bit has not bugged me as much as it initially did, and I've actually come to really enjoy this figure. He's a really solid toy. Now, for his articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so you get a nice range of motion with it, left, right, up, down, not really side to side, but you can get it looking however you want. The shoulders, there is a lot of clearance issues on this. All the joints are there, but you're not going to get a lot of poses with them because things are rubbing into each other. So the articulation is there, the posability is not. So you're not going to get a lot of dynamic poses with this figure. Just basically set him on your shelf and look at him. He does rotate here at the elbow. It's on a ball joint, moves forward and back. You don't get any motion here with this the joint really. It bends in just as part of the transformation, and that's really all there is. It does rotate at the waist, again, as part of the transformation. Moves a little bit back here, and as you can see, because you're chicken legging them, so you're moving it back a little bit better, and again, really helps the stability of the actual toy itself. He does have ratchet joints here at the knee, very nice, solid ratchet joints, and then he does rotate at the upper part of the thigh as well. The feet down here are on ball joints, so you can get them pivoting forward and back, again, to really help with that chicken leg positioning, to get a little bit wider of poses and a much more cohesive look with the actual legs. These suck. I don't like those. And that all came flopping down. So I mean, you can see that there are, I don't want to say problems with this toy, but it's not as clean as I really would hope it to be. It does look good, don't get me wrong. I do like the way that it looks. It's just for me, it's my least favorite of these new deluxe figures. It's not a bad toy. It just could be a whole lot better. And then for comparison with some other deluxe figures, here he is. And here he is next to the IDW Megatron. And Megatron is a little bit taller than he is, but you can see that there's a lot more going on with this guy. He's a pretty big dude and just very bulky in this the torso or the upper body area, whereas Megatron really isn't. And then, like I said, he does have his guns here. You can have him hold both of these separately in the two different hands. I do like that. I think that's really very cool. Or if you wanted to, you could combine them. Which is really very funny because in the comics, these guys are really looking to find combiner technology, and well, they already have it in terms of guns. Except you can't really get him holding this all that well. So to me, you're either going to have it just as one big rifle, I guess, or two separate guns. And for me, I kind of dig the two separate gun look, I guess. So personal preference, again, whatever you want to do. Now for the transformation back to his little tiny compact car mode, first we're just gonna kind of loosen this up and drop that down, rotate these down, and again, I don't know why it locks in there and has the spring-loaded gimmick, because it doesn't use it for anything. And I just straighten out these arms, keeping everything straight. Take this section, lift this, pull this up, rotate the head back and around like so. Then bring this up, kind of pull these out, and line these up just like that. Actually, you want to rotate these bits up and around as well. Or why isn't that? There we go. All right, so now we got those rotated around. We're going to bring this up, just kind of line that up, bring this around like so. You're just kind of straightening everything out the way it's going to be. Lift this up, and then rotate the waist around thusly. Take this, collapse these shoulder bits in. You're going to line them up along the side here of the actual roof of the car, and then again bend this right up here at the red section, and in doing so you can then tab the blue bit right here. Keep that like so, bend that, tab that in just like that. Real easy. This guy's really easy to transform, guys. So rotate that around, rotate that around, take these feet, you want to rotate these down like that, then bring the two halves together. Now separate that, bring the legs straight again, then keep that together. Then you're going to just rotate these up and position them right underneath the actual hands themselves. Straighten all that, push that in nice and tight, rotate these front section up, and kind of keep these down like that. It's a little bit easier if you actually take this and tab that underneath the roof section just before you bring it down. Then bring that down, straighten this. Come on. just like so, along the side. Bring that down, just like so. Along the side, tab everything together, and boom, here you have Skids back in his vehicle mode. Now, as I said, Skids is actually probably my least favorite of the new 4 deluxe class figures that we've gotten. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a bad figure. True, I did have some problems with mine, but actually taking him, putting him aside, and waiting to come to do this review, I actually was able to appreciate him a whole lot more. Usually when you break a toy, you're like, son of a gun, you broke my toy, and you don't like the thing as much. So not rushing to get this out has really actually helped me to appreciate the toy a whole lot more. Vehicle mode, it doesn't really look like his comic book version, although if he came to Earth, this very well might be what he would choose for his alt mode. It works, I like it. Really nice paint applications throughout here, nice molded in bits, just a really solid looking vehicle mode. His transformation is actually kind of crazy and a little bit fun. I mean, there's a lot going on here, and if, you know, somebody was, I saw a friend of mine ask me if you can store these anywhere, and all you can really do is tuck that up underneath there. I mean, it rolls still fine, but you still have this cannon, so there's not really much, and it just wedges up in there, so whatever. The only real weapon storage is here on the sides, so sorry about that, Steve. I don't know what else to tell you, but like I said, the transformation is actually pretty fun to do, and it's unique. I think his robot mode, though, is the best looking and nicely captures the look of the Skids character from the IDW comics. One thing that I do like is the option to not have his weapons fully deployed, as you see in some panels of the actual comics, or you could have the shoulder cannons coming over his shoulders along the side of his head. You can have those there, or you can have the missile pods coming out of like his tires. I like that option. That's really very cool. And then on top of that, I like the fact that you can even make him look a little bit more like his G1 self in terms of like his toy form. So I do dig it. It is a figure that I do recommend picking up. Now, all of these new deluxe figures have really absolutely impressed me. I didn't think they were going to be nearly as good as I thought they were, especially Skids. So I'm happy that I got them, guys. And I really think that you will be too. So keep your eyes open at your local retail stores, or if you'd like to, go ahead and click on the link down in the video description. You'll go over to Big Bad Toy Store where you can pick up this guy as well as the rest of his wave mates and add them to your collection. But beyond that, that's about it, guys. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Keep in touch with me. Find out recent purchases as well as all upcoming video reviews all at facebook.com/teambotimus, and follow me over on Twitter at twitter.com/optibotimus. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.
When the going gets rough, you've been put to the test, but it's never enough. You got the touch. You got